There is this just massive disconnect between what the internet says people should expect from their companies and what companies are actually sustainably able to give. Yeah, maybe if you're Google, you can give free lunches to everyone in all of your companies forever. But eventually that money even runs out. But like mom and pop store can't do that. And I think like we have Google expectations on mid-level companies and it's unrealistic. And it's really unfortunate because it's creating this horrible tension between companies and employees that is, building a level of like, I can't believe that on their end and I can't believe that on their end, right? Both have crazy like expectations of each other. I'm curious, in your mind, what are some of the unrealistic expectations that companies have for job seekers? Because the job seeking process has gotten more complicated over the past 10 years. Even from when I graduated college, I noticed that instead of 2 or 3 interviews, it's like 5 or 6 or 7 with take-home assignments and like all these different things. Have you noticed that in your side of things at all?
Yeah, I would probably say that the one thing that on my side is everybody has to have a skill set, right? Like I want somebody to come in and they have to have expertise in what we're hiring for. I'll be honest with you, I think that's crazy, right? I think we pass up some really phenomenal people and some smart people. I think sometimes we think too highly of ourselves, that the position that we're trying to hire for is like, oh my gosh, only somebody with experience can have this job. Come on. Like I've had, I'm in dentistry and I have people that work for me that's in the salon industry. I have teachers. I have somebody from the restaurant industry. I mean, everyone from all walks of life. And you know what they do? They better the company because they come in with a different outside view and they don't come in with a self-perceived perception of what the job should be, And so they think differently and they think out of the box and they usually make the job better. So I think the unrealistic expectations of us as people hiring is that we box the people that we want to come in and that we think should be the person that's in the job. I hate that. I think it bothers me.
Yeah.
It totally bothers me. Yeah.
And it's tough, right? Like these things kind of become routine and then you're like, dang it, we're in a routine. How do we fix this? And that's where you start thinking about like, new policies, new procedures. One thing that really stood out to me from what you said earlier is that you started out your career with Disney. And I think that what I find so fascinating talking about customer service and all these things is everyone wants really high end customer service, but anyone who's trying to get a job in customer service doesn't want to give that high-end touch, right? And so it's like we expect more from the things that we purchase than what we bring to our job sometimes. And when it comes to Disney, that's one of those companies that delivers on the customer service. You go to Disney, you never see a piece of trash on the ground. It doesn't exist. And they have like all these ways of hiding the trash and like disposing of it in like secret ways. I did their underground tour when I was a kid, and like the way that they pipe smells into the park, everything is so meticulous. And I even heard about how they sort of, start the day almost Truman Show style in their parks. And they have such a strong focus on like people who are dedicated to that sort of showing up and being that character for the day to make that experience. And I think that there's sort of a fight going on between that way of doing things and the bring your authentic self to the office every day, right? Well, what if my authentic self is a total negative Debbie Downer every morning, right? Like I can't bring that every day, maybe once in a while, but like not every day, right? And so I'm curious, what were some of the things that you learned from Disney that have really stuck with you over the years?
Well, what's interesting with Disney is first of all, they want you to bring yourself, right? But the self is described around a certain expectation. And that's what Disney is really, really great at. They set an expectation of what they want you to do. Okay. They also understand what's really great is that ultimately the customer needs to be happy. Okay. So middle management for Disney is given the decision-making power and the freedom all the way down to the person that's checking somebody out to give the decision-making power back to the person that's in front of the customer. Okay, so it empowers team members to feel real great when they're being able to make a difference for somebody right in front of them. Starbucks does that, Apple does that, Disney, so on and so forth. So the companies that can bring decision-making power into the hands of the people that are in front of the customer, it goes really, really well. Okay. You need to set the expectations to what you want to achieve in the beginning, and you got to get yahoos out of there immediately that are bringing down the culture, and not doing what you want them to do. That's what I learned from Disney. Okay. And I'm at fault at this as an entrepreneur, right? I'm one of those people that's kind of like, well, maybe I'm expecting just a little too much, right? Like, yeah, okay, they don't stand up to greet the patient. Okay, I'm expecting too much, and you make excuses for yourself in order for you not to have to fire people, rehire, all the things that are bad, right? You don't want a bad review. You don't want to do any of those things. But if you look at Disney and you Google them, they probably have as many bad reviews as they have good reviews, right? What's the difference? Their team members that like working for them are a hell of a lot louder than the ones that are pissed off. Okay. Why? Because they're happy, way, way happy in their job, and they enjoy it. Okay. They don't let yahoos bring them down. They let the yahoos scream and yell and be like, I didn't like working for Disney. I didn't make any money. And, whatever it is. But the people that are working there love it because they want that culture, right? So this is what I mean, going back to the beginning of our conversation, like set in the line in the sand and don't go by it, don't go backwards on it when you're hiring, and when you're interviewing, if it's a culture that you're like, I don't think I'm going to fit in, don't take the job. It's not going to work. I don't care if they're paying you $50 more an hour than you're getting somewhere else. It's not going to work.